So this week has definitely been extremely insightful, very informative. I think going through so much history has definitely given me a much more broad perspective about how education has transformed, specifically looking at Brown v. Board of Education and how that in itself helped to initiate a lot of specific things within education, like looking at desegregation, building up new standards, and also looking through each one of the eras, like 1950s as the standards era, 1960s as the equity era, and then moving into the efficiency era of the 70s. I think having this insight is definitely helping me piece together more about what I was learning in curriculum development, curriculum with Mike, where we looked at all the various ideologies in which America has kind of framed their actual academic and curricular structures around, and going from the kind of like social reconstructivist to the social efficiency to the scholar academic, and having those kind of eras align, specifically looking at how after Sputnik, that's when the whole focus, at least when we were learning in curriculum, started moving towards the social efficiency, and then being able to see that coupled with like the efficiency era as well definitely was interesting, because that new impetus for STEM education and that focus on this one discipline definitely changed the landscape of education. And I think with that change, I'm starting to at least be able to pin out different areas where my brief understanding of history and politics is kind of feeding into that, and looking into the Reagan era and thinking about all these different pieces has now brought me to a place where I want to start formulating more concrete ideas about what specific things I could personally address with my own insights in terms of like reform. So wanting to really dig a little bit deeper into how this chronology that we just experienced throughout this week is essential in building the foundation really for like equitable reform. And I don't know entirely where I see myself honing in on right now, but I think with this weekend I'd really like to compile all these notes and take all these thoughts, really review them and go back over it and see how that chronology is aligning with some of my personal insights about where education was, where it's been, and now where it's going. And I really like the discussions that we've been sharing about some of the recent candidates who are going up, because I haven't been too engaged within this whole new political spectrum that's about to impact how our nation's going to be performing on a wide array of topics. And I think that's something that I need to do to be more responsible as a citizen in order to better inform me, not only with my own personal education, but inform my potential profession, whether I go into the classroom or whether I go into policy, anywhere within the wide spectrum of education. I think my awareness of history definitely needs to be touched up on, and I've got a lot of personal searching to do about like where my values lie, because right now I find myself being still on this kind of like guerrilla education thought, where, you know, having agrarian communities, building like food systems that are sustainable and meaningful for empowering those communities to have like close change and impact within their own lives, and not have to worry about the outside world too much because they're able to like sustain themselves. But that idealistic kind of vision of like what I would kind of want to see as reform isn't necessarily too realistic. So I think I'm going to have to ground myself some more in my own personal values and understand what side of the spectrum I kind of fall on when it comes to education reform, and really start adopting more of these ideas to really like push my thinking forward and help me understand where I personally stand when it comes to certain issues regarding reform. So like whether it's like Nickelby moving forward in the age of accountability, and even moving into Blueprint with this innovation era, I think I'm just in a place where I need to really specify how I'm interpreting things, and where I'm gonna start engaging my thought and trying to entertain that and build it much more. So always learning, always learning. Happy Friday.